everybody, welcome to another review. We are going to talk about Power Book 4 Force Episode 2. This is Season 1, Episode 2, King of the Goddamn Hill. That's the name of the show. That's the name of the title of this episode. But baby, Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent have a Marvel Cinematic Universe of crime going on here. I done learned more about drug dealing and how to get away with murder since I've been watching these Powers. But they are so addictive. I've seen every last one of them. So this episode, just recapping a little bit from last episode, basically Tommy was on his way to LA. He's reminiscing about the death of Ghost and death of Keisha. And he was supposed to just stop in Chicago. He was looking for his granny. But he ended up meeting his brother. So he has a brother, y'all. So he just ends up, he gets into some stuff, into a little fracas and some things, and meets some of the underworld types and pissed off the Flynn family. But then he also did them a solid. So they basically want him out of town. But he's decided, hey, he don't want to work for nobody anymore. He is staying in Chicago. And I live in Chicago, so it's really fun to watch this show just to see like the locations that they film in, because there's nothing that looks like Chicago. But we open this episode basically with a bar getting shot up. Now, at first, I thought it was Gloria's bar, but it turns out that it's Tommy's brother, JP. It's his bar that gets shot up. So Tommy goes up there and he gives his brother $10,000 and basically he wants to help him out. And one thing about Tommy might be a sociopath and a psychopath, but he's a good-hearted psychopath. I mean, he gave his brother some money, barely even knew him. He said, I got family here, so he's going to try to help him out. So that's going on. He's like, I got an idea. So he kind of had like a little epiphany. So he's helping his brother out with some money and everything. And then we go to Walter Flynn. Y'all, I can't understand nothing that Walter Flynn is saying. And I watch Outlander too. And they're Scottish down on Outlander. But Flynn is Irish. I can't understand his accent. It's really hard to pick up for me. But basically it's been revealed that Flynn has some kind of cancer, so he's really concerned about passing his legacy on, and the doctor wants him to go get some scans and stuff, and he ain't having it. He's really not having it. He don't want Claudia to know. I think Vic knows, but he doesn't want Claudia to know anything that's going on. So then we get to the barbershop with Diamond and Jannard, and basically Jannard's like, hey, I got these little shooters, these little guys, they fresh and they young and they can do some things. And Diamond been in prison for 15 years. He's a little bit more of an OG in the game. He's like, we can't be just going and shooting up and spraying everybody and hoping and praying to see who gonna live and who gonna die, and catching casualties and collateral damage. He don't want to do it that way. But the boys, they listening to Jannard, because Jannard has basically been the captain while Diamond was locked down all these years. But basically, we see Tommy. Somebody starts attacking Tommy. Turns out it was Liliana, old Scarface Liliana from Power, y'all, from Power. So, she got into it. And I can't remember the episode where it happened at, but he wanted to kill her and Ghost said let her live. So now she's got this permanent scar. And basically, that's what happened with that. It turns out he thought she was stalking him or she was following him, but it turns out they kind of happened upon each other. She heard about through the grapevine, hey, it's this crazy white boy in town, and she figured out it couldn't be nobody else but Tommy, y'all. Couldn't be nobody else but Tommy. But really, we're going to so they kind of leave. The cops happen upon him and Liliana, so they can't finish the job of trying to kill one another. So next scene, we see Vic. He shows up to Gloria's house, and he's really in love with her. She still loves him, but she basically said, Gloria's look like she's biracial, but she's for all intents and purposes a black woman. And she was like, your white Irish father doesn't want to leave your legacy to a black baby. You're going to have to marry a pure Irish woman with pure blood, and we both know it. And he's like, hey, we can run away together. And she's like, no, it's nowhere you can run. So really, there's nothing for us. And he asked her, did she have anybody else? And her ass lied. She said, but not the way her and Tommy was getting it in last episode. Something going on between them two. I don't think that was just like a little drive-by. But basically, she's like, hey, don't be walking in my house anymore. And he, give me my key back. And he's like, no. He was real smooth with that shit, too. He was like, Nah, I ain't giving you your key back. But if you change the locks, then I know you ain't won't be here. That was real smooth. I like that. That was real smooth. But next thing you know, Tommy goes to see Diamond, and he goes to see Diamond, and child, he gets frisked by none other than Jeremiah, y'all. The R&B singer Jeremiah. Jeremiah actually sings on the theme song with 50. Power and powder and power. Was it power and powder? Powder and respect, something like that. Anyway, so Jeremiah's from Chicago. He's local, and I almost didn't recognize him because he doesn't have his clean cut anymore. He's got his dreadlocks. But yeah, he did a good job this episode. I thought he did a real good job. He should do some more acting roles. But basically, Tommy comes back. He gives them the money. He comes back with the drugs. He's doing them a solid, and they real suspicious because they're like, you didn't have to give that money and those drugs back from first episode. You could have kept all of that. But Tommy's trying to make some friends, trying to see the lay of the land, and basically he and Diamond go on a walk, and then they got accosted, y'all, by the Puerto Ricans. Honey, the Puerto Ricans accosted them, and basically this is some payback. Diamond apparently put their boss Rojas in a wheelchair, and so they're like, hey, you need to go and do our drops for us, because the heat is coming down, the cops is everywhere, and we don't want to endanger ourselves and put ourselves at risk. So you go do our drops for heroin for us, and we'll call it even. But they decide to sweeten the pot and kidnap Jannard, y'all. They kidnapped Jannard. So basically, they're like, you got 3 hours to do these drops for us. But then when they kidnap Jannard, they're like, you got 1 hour. So we see them go. They go to the mechanic shop. They go to the Jewish bakery. They go to all these different places doing the drops. And as that happens, they start to form. I think they formed a little bit of a bond. And then y'all, Tommy used his white privilege because Diamond is in the car and a cop pulls up and says, "Yeah, man, you were texting while driving." And that might have been true and good and all, but y'all, Diamond was in a parked car. He was in a parked car. So the cop is about to shoot that because he's telling Diamond, like, get out the car. And Diamond was like, I'm not moving my hands off these steering wheels. And y'all, that scene was really heartfelt because this happens to so many black men. And you can see his fear. This man has been in jail. He has been through a lot of things. And he's like, I'm not trying to get executed. I'm not reaching for nothing because they'll shoot me and ask questions later. And next thing you know, I'm splashed across the news. And they talk about how I was a convicted felon and I've been in jail and I was doing this and they found this in the car. No matter the fact that cop was really trying to just probably execute him. But Tommy, I love how Tommy used his white privilege. Tommy came up like, yo, guy, what's going on? This is my car. Hey, dude. And then, they having their little white boy moment. They vibing in their white boyism. And basically, Tommy gets Diamond out of this jam. So it was real cool. So Tommy is, he been Captain Saving for 2 episodes. I'm not used to Tommy being like this, y'all. I'm not used to it. But, him and Diamond make all those drops. And, the cops is everywhere. And that's Chicago, man. And they mentioned something about 37 shootings in 1 weekend. That's Chicago. That happens in Chicago. So they doing that stuff. And then we get to a scene where Claudia is talking to old man Flynn, or Walter Flynn. And she's telling him, like, hey, the family's losing money. We need to come up with some more designer drugs. The old stuff ain't going to get it. And Dad is like your typical patriarch. Hey, you do the books. I sent you to school. You work on our legit businesses. Me and Vic will handle this. So Claudia's like, I want to be in the crime too. I want to show Daddy I could do it. So that was that little scene. Tommy goes back to see his brother. He gives him some more money. And his brother just is like, hey, I don't know about all of this. And at first I thought it was that he didn't want to be involved in nothing criminal, but he had been to jail too. And so he just basically is really wanting to kind of have a relationship with Tommy. I think they look at some old pictures of him and his mom and everything. And he's still like, hey, I can't believe she just would leave her own son like that. And Tommy was like, hey, you don't know Kate. It turns out that he said, I have a son. JP, Tommy's brother, says, I have a son and I don't know where he is. And we look and we see the little footage of the boy running. And it turns out that's one of Jannard's boys that was there at the shop with Tommy when Tommy walked in. He's one of his, dude shooters. And then y'all, and pure Tommy fashion. Because see, they did get the money back to the Puerto Ricans. The hostage exchange occurred. Jannard was released. They gave them all the money. But Tommy wasn't going to let, because I was like, Tommy being a little bit too calm. This is not the psychopathic Tommy that I know. And basically, Tommy got them Puerto Ricans, put the Puerto Ricans in the trunk, and burnt that bitch down. And he had their Versace shirt for evidence, okay? He shows up to Jannard and Diamond, shows them their shirt. Man, and Jannard was like, dude, white boy crazy, man. So, yeah, man. Tommy, so that was pure Tommy. Because I was like, Tommy being a little bit too quiet. He being a little bit too passive. So, they owe Tommy now. And Tommy trying to get in the game. And basically, Diamond figured it out. He was like, man, you clocking my city. You trying to see how it works, how the crime works out here. And Tommy was like, yeah, you got a problem with that? He was like, no. So, shout out to Justice Secor. Last episode, I was kind of like, this is going kind of slow. But, of course, I was going to keep watching because we know Courtney Kemp and those showrunners and that writer's room, they going to come up with some good stuff. And the action and the momentum really started to pick up this episode. So, I can't wait to see next episode. Man, I can't wait. And especially because it's filmed here in Chicago. And actually, a friend of mine played El Mecánico when he went to the mechanic shop. He talked to Thea, the lady, and they went and got the drugs from up under the dumpster. That's a friend of mine. Shout out to Enrique Kings. He did a good job as a mechanico. But yeah, man, this is a great episode. Can't wait. See you guys next week for the next Power Recap and Review.